Welcome to the Deep Dive, the show that's really about cutting through the noise and getting straight to the insights you need. Now, if you've ever tried to seriously tackle leadership development, you know it can feel like, well, navigating a jungle, right? There are just thousands of articles, books, theories, all vying for your attention. It's frankly overwhelming. How do you even begin to cut through all that information overload and apply it in a way that actually helps you become, an effective leader? Well, our mission today is to do exactly that. We're taking a deep dive into a brand new framework published just this year, 2025. It's called the Leadership Mastery Model. And this isn't just another theory, it's really designed to be a clear, practical roadmap for corporate professionals like you, aiming to truly enhance your leadership skills and become what the paper defines as a high-impact leader.
Exactly. And just to clarify what that means, a high-impact leader, according to this model, is someone who embodies all the major qualities of leadership. And alongside that, the core strength of styles like transformational, charismatic, authentic, servant, and importantly, level 5 leadership.
Level 5, right? That's the Jim Collins idea.
Yeah,
The humble but driven leader.
that's the one. That powerful yet humble approach, intense professional resolve, combined with profound personal humility. And crucially, these high-impact leaders also consistently avoid those common leadership derailment behaviors.
That sounds incredibly comprehensive
Yeah.
and exciting because this model wasn't just pulled out of thin air, right?
No, not at all. It was developed through a really thorough literature review, synthesizing major leadership theories, contemporary styles, and even digging into components of, well, toxic leadership and those derailment behaviors.
Okay, so our job now is to unpack this powerful model for you, make it immediately understandable, and, maybe more importantly, applicable. So if you're looking to become that high-impact leader, where does the model suggest you even begin before you think about how to lead? What's the fundamental why?
Yeah, that's exactly where the model starts getting crystal clear on the purpose of leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And it identifies two major objectives. The first is probably what most people think of: enhancing organizational, economic, and technical performance. Boosting productivity, efficiency, growth, profitability, the tangible results.
Makes sense. The bottom line.
Right. But the second is equally significant, though maybe less tangible sometimes. It's meaning making. Meaning making in the lives of the people who are being led, creating a genuine sense of purpose and motivation in their professional lives. And what's fascinating here is the history. While meaning making was historically quite significant, economic performance kind of took over the spotlight, mostly because it's just easier to quantify, isn't it?
Yeah.
Dollars, output, much simpler than measuring a team's sense of purpose.
Yeah, you can put a number on profit, but not easily on meaning.
Exactly. But the model's real insight here is showing these aren't opposing forces. They're actually mutually reinforcing. Actively nurturing meaning for your team isn't just a soft skill. The model argues it's a direct pathway to stronger bottom line results.
That's a powerful reframing. So, okay, once you're clear on your purpose, that vital why, the question shifts. It becomes about what kind of person do you need to be? We hear that old leaders are born, not made thing. But this model talks about traits. Do they still matter in modern leadership?
They definitely do. It's not an old idea that's gone away. There's been a strong reemergence of the trait approach. The model asserts that traits are a precondition for effective leadership.
A precondition. So,
Yeah.
like, you need them to even get started.
Kind of. They give you a starting advantage, but they're not enough on their own. They provide the foundation. And building on some really solid research, the model details 7 essential traits. 6 come from Kirkpatrick and Locke back in '91. There's drive that includes achievement, ambition, energy, tenacity, initiative. Then leadership motivation, honesty and integrity, self-confidence, which also includes emotional stability, and cognitive ability, plus knowledge of the business. And to those 6, the model adds a 7th crucial trait: communication skills.
Communication. Always key.
Always. Highlighted as important for any leader, but maybe especially for charismatic ones, using both verbal and nonverbal methods effectively. So the insight isn't just a checklist, it's understanding that these traits are the bedrock. They're like the silent engines powering the visible actions. For instance, that drive and self-confidence, really vital for transformational and charismatic leaders. While honesty and integrity are just, well, non-negotiable for authentic leaders.
Okay, so having the right traits is a strong start.
Mm.
But it's like having, I don't know, a powerful engine without a steering wheel, maybe. This next part sounds like it's about how you actually drive. Because traits are only the beginning, right?
Yeah.
You also need to know what to do.
Exactly right. After traits, the model says a high-impact leader must cultivate true adaptability in their leadership style. Or, maybe better put, their behaviors. Traits alone are insufficient. Appropriate, flexible behavior is absolutely key. Now, early behavioral approaches talked about broad styles, autocratic, democratic, laissez-faire. You probably remember those.
Sure, the classics.
Right. But this model uses a much more comprehensive view, incorporating three meta-categories of behaviors from research by Yuckel, Gordon, and Tabor. First, you have task behavior. That's things like strategic planning, clarifying objectives for your team, monitoring performance, the getting stuff done part. Second is relations behavior. This is focused on the people side, providing support, encouragement, recognizing achievements, developing skills and confidence, also consulting with them in decisions, empowering them, really crucial stuff.
The people skills.
Exactly. And third is change behavior. This involves looking outwards, monitoring the external environment, proposing innovative strategies or visions, encouraging innovative thinking from your team, and importantly, taking smart risks to drive necessary change. And the crucial takeaway here, really driven home by decades of contingency research, is that no single style works everywhere. Leaders must adapt.
So it depends on the situation.
Absolutely. Fiedler's model, for instance, helps you figure out if a direct, task-focused approach or a more relationship-oriented one is best, depending on things like how much control you have, how clear the task is, your relationship with the team.
Right.
And then there's Hersey and Blanchard's situational leadership theory. That one argues the best style depends specifically on follower readiness.
Follower readiness, meaning?
Meaning their ability and their willingness to do the task. It outlines 4 follower types and the corresponding style. From basically telling someone exactly what to do if they're unable and unwilling, all the way to delegating completely if they're both able and willing.
So selling, participating, those are in between.
Precisely. And connecting this back to the bigger picture, adaptability isn't just, changing your mind. It's about strategically shifting your approach to get the best outcomes based on the specific circumstances and the needs of your team at that moment.
Okay, so we've got purpose, foundational traits, and adaptable behaviors. That's already a lot. But the model suggests a leader needs to expand their repertoire even further. What are these advanced qualities that really define a high-impact leader?
Yeah, it does. The model highlights 7 additional qualities that are crucial for really elevating your impact. First, being visionary. Absolutely essential for transformational, charismatic, servant, and level 5 leaders. You need to see the bigger picture.
Makes sense.
Second, being inspiring. A major quality for transformational and charismatic leaders, obviously, getting people excited about that vision. Third, being emotionally intelligent EQ. Crucial for transformational, charismatic, and servant leaders. There's actually a strong suggested link between high EQ and being a transformational leader. Fourth is being humble. We touched on this with level 5, right? It's important for authentic, servant, and especially level 5 leaders. That paradoxical mix Jim Collins found, personal humility and professional will.
Right.
Fifth, being caring. Key for authentic and servant leaders, genuinely caring about your people. Sixth, acting as a coach mentor, really important for transformational and servant leaders who focus on developing their people. And finally, number 7, culturally adaptable. This is about adjusting your leadership style not just to your specific company culture, but also to national cultural contexts. And it's fascinating how desirable leadership attributes can differ.
Oh, yeah. Like how?
Well, there's research showing that in, say, American culture, things like intelligence, honesty, verbal skills were rated really highly, whereas in Japanese culture, being fair, flexible, and a good listener were seen as more critical.
Wow, quite different priorities.
Exactly. It just highlights the absolute necessity of understanding your environment, your context.
So what this really boils down to for you, the listener, is, well, it means continuous development, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Refining your understanding of yourself and the diverse environments you're leading in. It really is a journey. But just as important as knowing what to do is knowing what not to do. And the model explicitly addresses behaviors that can derail even the most promising leader. This feels like the ultimate self-awareness check.
It absolutely is. And it's a crucial part of the model. Understanding and actively avoiding those negative behaviors. First, let's tackle toxic leadership. The definition here is pretty stark. Purposeful, deliberate behaviors that disrupt how the organization functions. Things like maneuvering, deceiving, intimidating, humiliating others, usually for personal gain.
That sounds pretty bad.
It is. Key components include a lack of genuine concern for subordinates, a negative personality that just poisons the climate, and fundamentally self-interest as the primary motivation. Research identified 5 key dimensions of this: abusive supervision, authoritarian leadership, narcissism, unpredictability, and self-promotion. But beyond that overt toxicity, the model also details 8 other common, maybe sometimes subtler derailment behaviors leaders need to avoid.
Okay, what are the...
Well, things like isolation from reality, literally losing touch with what's actually happening on the ground. Conflict avoidance, sometimes conflict is necessary, but unhealthy avoidance can be disastrous. Abrasive behavior, just being harsh, condescending, paranoia, that undue suspicion.
Micromanagement.
Yeah.
Nobody likes that.
It's definitely on the list. Micromanagement stifles autonomy and trust. Then there's feeling like an imposter, that perception of incompetence, which can lead to self-sabotage. Also, hypomanic behavior, which can look like excessive energy, maybe recklessness, an overly inflated sense of self-importance. And finally, kind of an interesting one, generational envy towards younger members of the organization.
Envy.
Yeah. And what's really powerful here is realizing that just being aware of these pitfalls can be as empowering as developing the positive traits. It allows you to proactively steer clear of actions that undermine your effectiveness and, frankly, the trust you need to lead.
So to bring it all together then, this leadership mastery model really does provide a clearer, more practical roadmap for leadership development. It helps cut through that overwhelming jungle of literature we talked about at the start.
Absolutely. And it brings us right back to that definition of a high-impact leader, someone who embodies those core qualities and strengths, transformational, charismatic, authentic servant, level 5, while, crucially, consistently avoiding those detrimental derailment behaviors.
Yeah. So this deep dive, guided by the model, hopefully offers a structured path for you listening, not just to understand leadership better, but to actively work towards becoming that truly high-impact leader yourself. So maybe as you go about your day, consider this. How might recognizing just one of these derailment behaviors, whether it's in yourself or maybe in those around you, how might that be your first step towards truly transformative leadership?